the ultimate guide to starting a social media business in 2022. Today I've brought on a good friend of mine who started in India, and he didn't come from a rich family, he didn't know how to speak English, didn't know how to write in English, but using his own brain and just his willpower, he built a social media business on Twitter all the way up to 298,000 followers on Twitter. He's also on Instagram, and he also has one of the most popular blogs on men's personal development. So it goes to show that if you just apply everything that we talk about, you will become successful. It's guaranteed. And him and I actually went off script, as I usually do. I had a script of questions I wanted to ask, but we ended up going off on all these other tangents. It's really going to transform the way you see yourself right now. And we went really deep into success. We went really deep into what you should actually do as far as building up a social media business on Twitter. We also covered, is blogging dead? Should you have a blog in 2022? Should you have a blog in 2023? We covered it all inside of this video. And with that said, let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of Money Bag Radio. My name is Dylan Madden, and I'm sitting down with Life Math Money. What's going on, brother?
Everything is well, Dylan. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. For whatever reason, I'm in South America right now, in the hottest place in South America, and it's freezing outside. So outside of that, I'm doing well. You and I have known each other for quite a while, built up a massive social media following, and you've also done something that I find very intriguing. We definitely need to talk about it here in the next few minutes, but you've gotten not only an amazing Twitter following, but you also have a blog. So just out of interest, what made you start Life Math Money?
So I believe I've known you before we actually spoke, because I remember you working with Victor Pride. And Victor Pride used to run a blog named Bold and Determined. And he used to talk about how you should be, like everyone should be a blogger, everyone should write. And I remember he published a book called Spartan Entrepreneur. I remember reading his articles and I thought, hey, this is really cool. I should try my hand at writing. And I wasn't thinking of it as a business back then. I thought, okay, this is going to be a good hobby. It's going to help me improve my English and also get all of my ideas and lessons out in the world. So I start the blog and I write an article and another and a third. And no one's really reading them, right? Because you start a blog, you post, but how do you get people to read it? And I remember there were these people like Wall Street Playboys. They would use Twitter to get people to their blog. So I make a Twitter account and, just out of pure luck, you could say that the algorithm really loved me and my account grew to 10,000 in like 5 months. And to give you some context, I thought getting to 10,000 would take me like 3 years when I started. So I had no idea how fast I would grow. So that's how I started with Twitter, and Twitter kind of motivated me to write more and think of it more as a business than just a hobby. And then I kept building it up more and more. I tweeted more, I published more, I wrote more articles. Now we're also on YouTube. We make a YouTube video a week, and we have an email list, etc. So it was incrementally built over many years. And now I think the Instagram account has 50K and it's just 100% automated. So right now I would say it's pretty much inspired by Victor Pride, and as fate would have it, we're doing well by God's grace. How was your time with Victor Pride? I remember you were working with him.
No, the time was amazing. I mean, for my whole, journey, it started back in 2014, and kind of similar to you, I saw this bold and determined guy. I think I typed in the top 100 personal development blogs, found him. I was working at a small engine shop back in those days. And started reading his blogs. Oh, this is pretty cool. Forgot about it. This job thing is not working for me. Blah, 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 blah. This is once again 2014. And I typed in the no BS way to making money online. Who did I see? I saw Victor Pride again. And so basically I just started consuming his content. And I'd already dabbled online as far as having websites and all that beforehand. So I kind of knew what it was. And I started what used to be Way of the Olympian and much later became commoncollected.com. But as far as my time with Victor, basically in my mind, I was like, I feel like there's something he knows. And if I could just intern with him, I could find that one little nugget. And I don't know if you remember Chris from Good Looking Loser. Do you remember that guy?
I don't know that guy. I'm aware there's a blog there because I remember writing an article on I think the article was about why he's not as ugly as you think. Yeah. And then a reader told me that, hey, your article is very similar to this blog article. And then I was like, hi, this is very similar. So I might have come across him before, many years ago, and read his article and had it in my mind somewhere. Right. Which is kind of why when I wrote my article, it was similar.
Okay. Well, to make a long story short, I wouldn't say he was a friend of mine, but he knew who I was. And I essentially messaged him. I was like, hey, can you get me in touch with Victor Pride? I I saw he's looking for a new intern, blah, 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 blah. And I basically set the expectation, like, I don't expect you to do this. And if you don't do it, I know that you and him are business partners. So I respect that. But if you could, that would be awesome. To make a long story short, he's, oh, yeah, man, no problem. Let me text him right now. I got a text message from Victor Pride that day. Say, hey, Dylan, I've seen you comment on my blog for a couple years now. This is fast forward to 2016. I've seen you comment on my blog for the past couple years. You seem like a good guy. I will have some work coming up for you if that's something you're interested in. Of course, I was cool with that because I guess a part that I skipped was I quit my job. This was, once again, 2016, like August 2016. I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'll find a way to make money. This job thing is not for me. And I don't recommend any of the listeners to necessarily just quit their job, because it definitely put me in a hole for probably a year or 2 years. But I pulled myself out. Now I'm living the best life. But not everybody has that same maybe delusional self-confidence backed up by just a work ethic. So some of you might just want to have a side hustle in the beginning. But to make a long story short, I tried Uber, driving for Uber, and I think I made like $75 in a matter of 2 or 3 hours of driving, which was amazing at that time. So like, okay, found how to make money, put my 2 weeks notice in. And so I had unlimited time. I'm skipping a lot of details. I started cleaning properties as like a side hustle to put food on the table. And I would basically go out at like 1, 2 in the morning, clean properties till around 7 or 8 in the morning, get home, sleep for an hour or two, wake up and work for Victor for the rest of the day. Him seeing, I guess, that dedication got me to where he was like, hey, I need you to come out to Los Angeles. And that's when I started actually working with him, like officially. So before I would like, hey, edit this blog post. Hey, read over this transcript. Hey, check this out. So it was a bunch of like just random stuff, like researching articles, that type of stuff. So once I actually got there, the book, and I still have the proof copy, like the very first copy of the book that he got, New World Ronin. I still have that thing. It's amazing. And I basically had to proofread that. And I helped him with a bunch of sales page creations and all this other stuff. And I only worked with him for like 3.5 months, but during that 3.5 month period, like I got to see how to run a supplement company, the sales aspect behind running a blog, how to create simple things like an Amazon page, like how to do a podcast, how to do the lighting, how to take proper pictures. If it weren't for that one period, like I would not be where I'm at now. And like I had a similar experience with the Tate brothers. If I would have sat down with them, I wouldn't be sitting where I'm at now. So it was like one of those, I guess, or sent me or connected us through all the billions of people out there. Connect me with Victor, much later the Tates, and all the other random people I've met, even such as yourself. You and I somehow came together. You're in India and I'm over here in Paraguay. So like we came together and now we're sitting down and making a podcast. But for him specifically, the biggest lesson I learned was that it was possible. Like it's easy to read about like all these cool adventures and read all of his awesome blog posts that he used to have before he took it down, obviously. But to actually see the behind the scenes of it and see the dedication, to see the like 18-hour days sometimes, to see like all the inner workings, that for me made it possible. Like in my brain, I knew as soon as I got to see behind the scenes, I was like, okay, I can do this. If he can do it, not that I was better than him, but like if I can see another person doing this and actually living this life and making a killing from just typing words on a screen, I know I can do it. And so I came back with like $142 and started doing flipping, which you and I before this were talking about flipping. That's what got me into flipping. It was like I wrote down on a piece of paper like all the different ways I could make money. Flipping was one of the easiest ways I knew that I could make some money then. And fast forward, I mean, it sucked for a couple years after that, like I was saying. But if it weren't for those flipping days, I would have met all the different people because I was able to essentially have the time that I needed to do like Cernovich events. I used to manage some of his events. At Lattimore, Alexander Cortez, I used to manage some of their events. I had unlimited time to provide value to people for free. Like, hey, let me make this graphic for you. Let me write this email for you. Let me write these tweets for you. And it was all those little moments that transitioned me to what I do now, which is I'm an email copywriter and I teach other people how to do freelancing. But it was all those little bitty moments of fate, if you were to call it that, that took me to that level, which takes us back to what we were saying with Twitter. You were saying Alexander Cortez and Ed Lattimore got you into Twitter, right?
Yes, and there's one other guy, the one you mentioned, Cernovich. You know, his
Yeah.
surname is so complicated that I keep forgetting him. In my mind, he'll always be DNP.
I miss those. Yeah.
I remember back in the day where he used to troll people on Twitter, and I used to like follow that. And it was my first introduction to the red pill space, danger in play.
Right.
So yeah, the guy
Okay.
really helped me out. You know what's
So-
interesting? When you mentioned that you used to make a list of, all the ways you can make money on Twitter, and that the main thing you learned was that it's possible. It's
Right.
very interesting because I have many business partners in different businesses that I have, and the story is very similar. For example, I have a business partner who used to be a preschool teacher, and we used to do business. Like for him, the business was a side thing, and I was just like marketing and helping him out. So it was like a 50-50 business. And the business was doing well enough at that point where he was making more from the business than his preschool. But because he lives in New York, he has to basically keep both jobs. He has to do both to survive because New York is expensive. And I told him, brother, the business is doing well, but it's not growing because you're doing this stupid thing with teaching preschool. So how about you quit preschool and you just do this and we'll make way more money? And for a while he was like not fully convinced, right? Because it's like a big leap to make, to like quit your job completely and be an entrepreneur. And I showed him like some of my other businesses. I basically showed him like a bank statement. See, like, this is what I can do, and I don't even like care about this, but this is a side biz for me. And
Right.
he was in shock for a day, and he couldn't like fathom that it was possible. And the next day he quits his job, and now he's making way more than we were making earlier,
Right.
and he's much happier. So I agree with you there that learning that it's possible, it's one thing to think that other people can do it, but everyone has this inferiority complex. I would say that they don't believe that they can do it. Like, when you see someone say bench press 2 plates 100 kilos, and you can't bench press someone who's weak, let's say he bench presses 40 kilos, and he's looking at someone who's pressing 100, he thinks, I can't do this, something is off with me. But that's not really the case. Like, if you put your mind to it, you can bench 100 kilos. It's not that difficult. It's not easy, but it
Right.
isn't something you can't do unless you have some congenial defect or something. I don't know. So knowing it's possible is a big piece of the pie, and it's so underestimated, where everyone just assumes, this isn't a big deal, but it really is. It changes. It's a flip in your mind. Okay, this, I can be a billionaire, I can be a millionaire. I just have to like start a business and put my mind to it. I don't have to keep working a job for $500 a month. So that is a huge switch. And for some people, like, I never had this issue. Like, I always knew that I would be in business ever since I was a kid.
Same.
Like, I remember my family would say things like, just when I was a kid, they would say, are you going to talk like this with your boss? And I would be like, I'm not going to have a boss. So I was always business focused, but I can see that most people are not this way. They come from a background where everyone in their family works a job, and they think of it, like, they think of money as like you work for someone else. And this is a big jump for them. And knowing that it's possible is a huge victory. And for everyone listening to this, let me just tell you, it is possible. You, the listener, you can do it. You're not inferior. You're not some germ who is supposed to, work for someone else forever. You can make it if you put your mind to it and you come up with some business idea that adds value to others. You can make it, and you can do it while doing your job because you have the internet. So there are no excuses at this point, right? Like, Dylan and I know each other. Dylan knew Victor. Dylan knows the Tate brothers because of the net, and you have the same internet we do. You can make it. Like, that's the big. If you take away only one thing from me, take this away, that you can make it. Like, trust in yourself. You have what it takes.
I 100% agree with that. And I would recommend, I'm not trying to plug your stuff, but like, if they pick up your Art of Twitter guide, like I've taught about that. I even made a video breaking down some of the points to build belief. So many people think that they could just read about it. And for me, I had an inferiority complex of like, oh yeah, maybe I'm just not smart enough. Oh, maybe that guy just got lucky. Maybe I'm not that lucky. And I literally used to think that, but then I eventually was like, no, screw that. How can I directly experience that reality? And that's, I was blessed with getting kind of lucky with my blog. It was making some decent money. I also had a YouTube video that went viral. When I say viral, it's like hundreds of thousands of views. So not like PewDiePie level viral, but to me, that was big time. And that was making affiliate sales. So I already believed that it was possible. But then whenever I got to see it and like actually experience it behind the scenes with Victor Pride and even with Cernovich and Ed Lattimore, the Tate brothers, that's when the switch fully flipped on. But for everybody that's watching this, like, whether you get his guide or not, at least go to the YouTube channel and just type in how to gain 5,000 followers on Twitter and watch that video, because by you creating, this is a simple literally simple exercise that you can use to make money and see that the effort you put in directly affects reality. Set up a Twitter account and apply everything inside of that video. Get the guide, don't get the guide, it's up to you, but at least follow that video. It's free, and apply yourself and start building up a Twitter following, and not only building a Twitter following, monetizing the Twitter following. And even if it's just a couple $100 a month, just the fact that you can see I'm tweeting on this thing that's free on my phone and I can sell somebody else's product. So you can do what's called affiliate marketing. Everybody by now knows that. Affiliate for his products, affiliate for my products, and get a percentage of every sale that I generate from my Twitter account. And you'll directly see, oh my God, all I've got to do is put in the effort and I'll start getting money. I'll start getting likes and engagements or retweets, all that type of stuff. And that's how you build belief. It's not by just reading all the mindset books and all that. It's about directly experiencing it. Just like whenever you were learning how to ride a bike. I know for me, it's freaked me out whenever I first started, because I was just like, oh man, I need my training wheels. My grandfather literally just tossed me down a hill, and it was either fall or keep riding. And of course I kept riding. So you need to get yourself out of just reading about personal development, throw yourself in, get the art of Twitter, or just watch the YouTube video I've already put out there for you. I'll put it up here somewhere. Watch that video and just start applying it and see that you can affect reality. You don't have to depend on some other person to give you a paycheck. You don't need to do that. You can literally just put yourself out there and start building skills or selling affiliate products. Like for me, I teach people how to do freelancing. So essentially you have a skill, you offer it to clients for a set retainer every single month. You get paid, and you can essentially work for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day. And the rest of the day you can do whatever you want. And you're making way more money than you would from a job. And if you really apply my stuff, not only will you make more than a job, you can also delegate a lot of that work. So you can have email writers for your clients. You can have graphic designers, web designers, whatever you need. So you're hardly having to do any of the work. But you need to get your mind out of this, like, I'm just going to do whatever my boss says. I need to depend on my job. I need to wait every 2 weeks and hope that I'm somehow going to magically make more money, because you're just not, especially the way the world is going now with more technology. You could even say with inflation, with all the different things that are happening. You can't be like you were 5 years ago, even 2 years ago. You can't be like that anymore, because what worked for your family, like your parents, your grandparents, and if we're being honest, it didn't really work too well, but it got them to where they are now. It's not going to work for you. So you need to start using your brain and using your creativity and accept the reality that you can affect the world around you, not by depending on another person, but by using your brain and adding some kind of solution to the world. Even a solution could be as simple as, I'm going to teach people how to apply the art of Twitter from Life Math Money. I'm going to teach people how they can actually start growing their Twitter account. Or you can say, I'm going to show people how to get into freelancing. And then you get paid for every sale that you generate, and you start gaining a following. And what are you doing? You're actually building a skill set by building your Twitter account. I mean, do you have anything to add to that, bro?
I think the most important thing that helps people is that making the first $1 online. And
Yeah.
I like helping people with that. For example, every once in a while, people will send me some free stuff. Okay. Someone will make a banner for me, or like they'll tell me, okay, so this thumbnail isn't good on your YouTube video. I made a new one. Use this. And they will typically, they're just fans, right? They like Life Math Money. They're reading the content. They want me to help me out. And I'll tell them, okay, send me your PayPal. I'll pay you for this. So I'll send them like 10, $15, whatever I feel is worth what they did. And that changes a light switch. And then they started a business around it. For example, there was a guy who sent me a couple of typos I had in my article. And I told him, okay, so you sent me like 5 typos. I'm going to pay you $10. I'm going to pay you $2 a typo. And the guy then basically read all of my articles from start to finish and gave me like 200 typos to fix. And for $400, I had like my entire blog proofread. And the guy made some online money. And right now he's starting his business around internet writing. So making that first dollar online is going to change your life. So that is my advice. Like, focus on getting the first dollar in, and then it's pretty much easy street from there. Have you ever heard this quote that something started is half done? It's a lot of these things are logarithmic in nature. For example, like the initial part of it takes a long time, but then it's easier and easier as more time passes. For example, let's say that Dylan Madden, 2002, wants to start a blog. He doesn't know what is WordPress. He doesn't know what's a web server. He doesn't know what's a domain. He doesn't know how to edit images. He doesn't know how to take images. His English is not good, let's say. I'm assuming, I don't know where you're from originally. I'm assuming you're American, right?
Yeah, I'm American, but I used to stutter. I didn't have the best like grammar, you could say. Like I used to literally stutter. So that's something I trained myself to actually be able to speak. That's why people are like, oh my God, Dylan, your voice is so amazing. It's because I trained myself. I used to stutter. I used to do all that. But yeah, that goes with your point.
I see. So you have a lot of these background skills. Now
Mhm.
imagine someone who doesn't have any of these skills. They don't know what a website is. They don't know what a domain is. They don't know how to write. They don't know how to take images. And
Mhm.
they have an idea. I want to start a blog. Well, what are they going to do with it? They can't do anything with it because there's so much to learn to even start a blog that they can't start a blog unless they have a lot of determination that I have to learn everything. It's going to be a big learning curve and I'm going to do it. Most
Mhm.
people will just give it up. Like, okay, I have zero knowledge in this field. I don't know what to do. Then the next day shows up and they've forgotten about it already.
Yeah.
So it's logarithmic in the sense that you might like, even if you don't have an idea yet, just learning how to start a website, how to like use WordPress, how to set things up, how to write. A lot of these things will make future ideas much, much easier to start. So if you just learn how to set up a landing page, how to compress an image and things of that sort, how to edit a video, it's like half the work is already done. Even though you haven't really like started the business yet, you have a
Mhm.
lot of the tools in your pocket. So
Mhm.
that is something people need to focus on, like getting the first dollar online and learning the basics. Because otherwise you'll have an idea and you'll have no idea what to start, how to do it, or the amount of barriers that are there to actually get started would be so large that you would be so discouraged.
Mhm.
It's like having an application idea. Okay, I just came up with $1 billion idea to start like a software company, but I don't know how to code. I'm not gonna do it then if I don't know how to code. Like, just not gonna happen. So you gotta have the basic skills ready. That's half the work.
No, I 100% agree with that. Like, and I'm glad that you brought that last little point up because something that I did on my like rise to where I'm at, and I'm still rising, but like rewind to me like 4 or 5 years ago, I realized that if I just every day, even if it's not a business, even if it's not making me money, if I just work on myself and work on these skills and put in the work, at some point I'll figure it out. I'll crack the code. I wouldn't say I'm a genius, but I definitely am not dumb. So I knew eventually I'll figure something out. And all I needed to do was put in that effort. And I think that was what you said was perfect. A lot of people think that, oh, it's not making me any money. Oh, I'm not progressing. Okay, it's not worth my time. No, you need to be putting in the skills. Like, so back in the day, I had my main blog. I also had 2 satellite blogs that I was building. I was learning how to write. I was learning how to get people to a website through SEO because this was before I was on Twitter or anything like that. So it was like SEO was basically it. And then people obviously linking to my blog, me using the right keywords. That's basically what SEO is. And to make a long story short, every day from like 2014 until 2019, when everything clicked, I wrote an article, whether it was on my main blog, whether it's for some of my satellite blogs, whether it's making a video for any of my affiliate stuff that I was doing. This is common knowledge. Some people memed me about this. I'll just put it out there. I had basically a penis pump that I affiliated for. And that's the thing that got like 300,000 views. And it was making me about 1,500 a month in affiliate sales. And so they would literally, I never posted pictures or anything like that. I literally used it for like a month because they sent it to me. They were like, hey, would you be interested? We just started an affiliate program. I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll try it out. And because I was connected at this time with Good Looking Loser, that guy, he built an entire brand around it. So that's what gave me the idea. And they sent it to me. I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll try it for like a month or so. I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of actually slightly different. Let me write an article about it. Let me make a video about it. And then before I do it, I was making tons of money from at the time, tons of money from it. And that was when I was like, okay, affiliate marketing, let me put my mind into that. So then now, not only did I know how to write blog posts, not only did I know how to compress the images, do basic SEO, all that type of stuff. But now, because of affiliate marketing, I had a way to monetize. So that's when I created a Kratom satellite website, a mail enhancement blog, and then I had my main blog, which at the time was Way of the Olympian. Now it's commoncollected.com. And oh my God, now I'm making a little bit of money. It wasn't a ton of money, but it was a little bit of money. And then over time, all those skills that I didn't think were important at some point in my career have come back full circle and been useful, whether it's somebody that works directly for me. We got a team of 7 people that work directly for me and about 15 freelancers that are like gig based. So I know what to do. They can't like bullshit me or anything. But, oh yeah, that's going to take me about 2 weeks to get back. I could literally sit down and do that in, like within a couple hours. It's not going to take you that long. Or I can actually tell them, here's the best way to get this thing done. Obviously, I'm open to if you know a better way, but I know how to do this. Just simply do this, 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 this. So as everybody's watching this, even if you're not making any money right now, just the simple fact of you building that habit of posting every day to your Twitter account or writing a blog post, in my personal opinion, I'm going to ask you about this in a second. But in my personal opinion, I would focus on social media for now. So like literally just apply the video that I made about his guide and start growing a Twitter account. Just the simple fact that you're building that every day, tweeting, now you're getting better at writing, which is, you can start using your copywriting skills. That's how I learned copywriting. Wasn't reading 1,000 books, it was just doing it. And then you're going to learn how to do sales tweets, and you're going to learn all these different skills that at some point are going to be useful, and you're going to be able to build a business around that through, I teach people freelancing. You can build a business around skills using social media, which leads me to, you seem to have like a Midas touch. So for anybody that is, let's say they already have a couple thousand Twitter followers, maybe they already have a blog, maybe they're on Instagram or TikTok or anything like that. How can they have almost like that Midas touch that you have, meaning they already are growing, but like, what are you at now? Like 298,000 followers on Twitter or something? Like how can somebody get to that level of engagement and that many followers if they're already doing okay? Like, is there some secret to success? Which obviously I know that doesn't really exist, but is there some kind of secret that they can do or implement it, or is it just really finding the right people to talk to and consistently putting content out? Like, what is it for the people that already are doing okay? How can they amplify their Twitter following and their IG? Because I know you're killing it over there also.
Okay, so I will answer your question, but first I want to bookmark a question that tell me later. What exactly is a penis pump?
Okay.
I was wondering, what do you mean by that?
Writing that
Because
down.
if you were making $1,500 a month, and $1,500 is very good in India, like, you know, in India, making $1,500 a month is not little money. In India, it's a lot of money. It's in fact more money than most Indians make. So I might actually be interested in starting a company about it. We could talk about it later.
Let's talk about it later.
A very profitable niche. Secondly, what you mentioned, the question you asked me was how to basically grow really fast. And I'm going to be really honest with you. It's really the algorithm where you can control your growth to an extent. You can post regularly, you can reply to people, etc. Like, do the strategies I talk about in my book. But a lot of it comes down to the algorithm promoting you a lot or not. And that is very random. So there might be a month where I might grow, say, 30,000 followers, or a month where I might only grow 300 followers. And it seems completely random. A lot of it is based on the algorithm, and you have no control over it. It's like on YouTube, you publish a video, you put it out in the wild, and you've thrown your stone, and let's see how many dogs bark. So you never know how well things perform, but a lot of it seems to be out of your control. And I know that's a weird thing for me to say because I sell a guide on how to grow Twitter, but I'm just telling you up front, I can teach you how to grow Twitter, but I can't teach you how to be life math money, or I can't teach you how to grow really, really fast. I can teach you how to grow at a good pace, but the rest of it is algorithm, luck, and you might get retweeted by some guy who's very popular. You might make the right friend who might retweet you a lot and grow like that. So it's a lot of it is luck, chance, being out there. Because even luck isn't random, right? It's like if you're out there, you're going to get lucky. Like you make 100 videos, one of them is going to go viral versus you make one video a month. The chances of success are much lower, right? It's a lot of it is about being out there. But to be honest, it's also about the algorithm. For example, you take Zuby Music, right? His account like blows up all the time. Like he'll make a tweet and 1,000 likes in a minute. And I don't know how to do that. I don't get that much engagement. And he went years, right? Like he went like a decade, I think, posting with like almost no growth. And then one of his tweets blew up where he was like, I'm a transgender woman and I'm like lifting so much weight. I'm the champion. I'm the woman's champion. And that blew up. And then his account like basically hasn't stopped. So a lot of it is like luck. In a sense, when I say luck, I mean like being out there and something goes viral and you like capitalize on it. And of course, the algorithm liking you. Because sometimes the algorithm might not like you. Like you might make an account and you might get shadow banned and then your tweets never show up. Like this happened to a guy, his name is Carl Trouble. You might be aware of him. Like for his account, like he tweets a lot, but he doesn't grow. And his content is really good. Like I had him on my podcast earlier on Unapologetic Truths twice. His content is good, but Twitter doesn't like work for him. And I told him, start a new Twitter account. Okay, this account, like the algo hates it. Start a new account. And then he started a new account and that's doing quite well now. If you go like 3 months and it's not growing at all, despite you trying really hard, and you notice that your tweets are not showing up for people, okay? Like on Twitter, you'll have like, show more tweets or the offensive tweets have been hidden, click here to view. And all of your tweets are ending up there. You might need to start again.
And just be family friendly is essentially what you're saying. It's like be more family friendly, start a brand new account.
I wouldn't say be family friendly. Like I'm not family friendly in my content, but a lot of people, I don't know why, but maybe they get reported as spam or whatever. But if you're too abusive in the replies to people, okay, like if I say, hey, this you're an idiot, you're a fucking whatever, and everyone starts reporting me, then Twitter's algo would think, okay, this is like some guy who's like basically hurling abuse at people, and it'll start hiding your tweets. So you might want to be measured. I think Twitter is no longer a free speech platform how it used to be, because when it started, it used to be more free speech-ish, but now it's like you have to be a bit careful of what you say because you might just get banned. Like if you say something about everyone's favorite injection or everyone's favorite few injections, which I haven't gotten, it's like you might get banned just for saying like this might not be the best thing ever,
Yeah.
So unless you are enthusiastically supporting it, tweeting about the vaccine is not super safe on Twitter. Like, COVID misinformation, you're banned.
Yeah.
So you might want to also have a Telegram account on the side for like your controversial content. And I'm using that in quotes because I don't consider it controversial, but Twitter does, and it's their platform.
It's actually a good idea. I've got a Telegram. I just hardly ever use it, but I'm going to start using it more. So for all of you that are watching this, like if you're just getting started, like stop trying to be lucky. Stop trying to find the best trend or anything like that, and just put more content out. Specifically, and obviously teaches this inside of the art of Twitter, but specifically for people that you want to have as your audience. As I'll use myself as an example, the content I create is for freelancers or people that want to be able to make money online, or maybe you already have a client or two. And I teach people within like Freelancer Mogul and all of that, specifically how, okay, you've got a couple clients, here's how to amplify that so you can work less and continue earning more. And I talk about travel and I talk about mindset. And then Life Math Money, also has his own content pillars that he follows. So it's not about just tweeting, and this annoys me, and this is a real example, by the way. There's a guy that comes to me for advice here, and they're a great guy, but when it comes to Twitter, he's like insane. He'll tweet, haha, just ate a Snicker bar. And I'm big serious. He literally tweeted that. And he messaged me. He's like, bro, my Twitter's not growing. I watched your video where you're talking about Life Math Money's like growth guide, and like I can't get any engagement. I was like, well, send me your Twitter. Let me look at it. It was like that type of tweet. It was also tweets of him just running. I guess he's watched
David Goggins, right?
Yes. He copies that type of stuff. And I'm like, bro, who are you creating content for? He's like, I don't know. I'm just creating content for engagement. I was like, go through the art of Twitter again and start tweeting to specific types of people. And so he switched. He started tweeting to people that are into freelancing, specifically like high ticket related stuff. Oh my God. All of a sudden now people are engaging with this content. So when I say put more content out there, I'm not saying tweet random stuff. Hey, look at me drinking my espresso. Oh, look at me drinking my tea. Nobody cares about that. What you need to put content out about is things that people find interesting, things that they're already actively seeking. That's why I was recommending you could start tweeting about how to grow your Twitter and like share your personal like journey, and you can affiliate for the art of Twitter. Boom. Now you've got a brand and you're getting engagement. You're probably going to start making sales rather quickly. I mean, I could talk for hours about how like growing a Twitter account and putting content out there, because in my personal opinion, I'm one of the like prolific people content wise, like videos, tweets, emails, all that type of stuff, because I've got a really good team, but I'm able to just put that stuff out there. And the reason I put stuff out there is some random like, I think I'm going to make a video about how to close clients. It's because I know that's what people want. They're trying to learn that from me. So I teach people how to close clients. I teach people about the red flags to avoid with clients. Example, you have a much bigger Twitter following than I do. I'm sure that you don't just randomly tweet things out. Maybe you do from time to time, but there's intention behind it. I mean, would you agree with that?
Most of my tweets are random thoughts that I have or something I observed from my interaction in life that I post, but
right.
They aren't stuff like I just ate a Snicker bar, right? They are an attempt to save knowledge and RUN. It's called relatable, useful, or novel. So the content that you're creating either has to be relatable to people, or it has to be useful, or it has to be something really interesting. So, for example, a relatable piece of content is, for example, let's say that you are buying a house and you're tweeting about the process. Okay, like, okay, I went through this process. You can make a vlog, etc. That's relatable. People want to learn. And useful is basically mine-ish, where I'm helping you live a better life. It's useful for you. You will consume it because it helps you in some way or the other. And novel is like, interesting stuff. Like you see this a lot on YouTube. Like there's a guy who makes his name is Tierzu, and he makes these videos about animals and how they are like, he classifies them in different categories, etc. It's novel. It's something interesting to watch. So your content has to be RUN, right? Either relatable or useful or novel. And if it's
Right.
neither, if it's just you eating a Snicker bar, then who cares?
So for all of the readers out there, go through that and just apply it. Like it's the content side is so easy whenever you just understand generally who you're talking to and you just apply that simple formula. Like it's not worth overthinking. Like people will sit there and be like, "Oh, I don't know how you tweet so much. What should I do?" Just have an interesting life. Be observing of the world around you and start talking about it. Which leads me to something I've been wanting to ask you for a while because we both got started from like Victor Pride. Like he was the king of blogging back in the day. Before he retired, is blogging still worth it? Because I have a blog. I hardly post to it anymore. I've got at least 120 drafts that I still need to go through and finish editing and all that. But it's like, for me, my traffic since like 20, I want to say 18, just tanked. And you could argue, well, Dylan, why don't you just start promoting it via your Twitter? Which I think that's what your answer is going to be, just because I've seen kind of what you do. But is blogging still a viable, I guess, asset to build, especially for somebody through the context of I've got a Twitter following, I already have an audience. So I'm not saying from a straight beginner, somebody that already has an audience. Would you recommend putting time into a blog versus I already put out almost a daily email to my newsletter? So I could repurpose that as blogs, I guess, but would you recommend people getting into blogs if they already have an audience in social media?
I would say social media and blogging are orthogonal businesses in a sense where the revenues aren't very interlinked. And I'll tell you what I mean, okay? So I make a lot of money from Twitter because that's my biggest platform. And I'll give you an example of a guy who has almost no presence. Like his social media accounts are really, really small, like 4,000 people, whatever. And he makes like over 25K a month from basically just a blog and SEO. And his name is John Anthony. He's on
Ah,
masculinedevelopment.com. So he has an entire course on how to do SEO, how to build a blog. It's called Blog Money Blueprint, which I ended up taking. It's a very good course. And the guy makes like 20K a month from just a blog. And the
oh,
blog basically they use SEO to get people in, they take their email ID, they promote various products, etc. So it's an entirely different business. It's like I would not say blogging is dead because I can give you examples of people making a killing from blogging, and I can see examples of people making, say, a lot of money from social media. So they are different things. It's like motorcycle racing versus car racing. Which one is better? Like
right,
they're both good. You can do both at the same time. In fact, it's probably for the best that you do both at the same time.
right.
So, yeah, they are orthogonal to each other. Do both, and you can make money from a blog. There are people making a lot of money from a blog. I have a few niche sites which are just a collection of articles and some affiliate offers here and there, and they make good money. And I don't even touch them. I maybe spend half an hour a year just updating the plugins. Blogging is definitely worth it. And even if you don't make a lot of money from the blog itself, it will teach you so much about writing, setting up sites, learning about SEO, etc., that it's worth it just in the learning alone.
Okay, so I like how what you said there. It's like two separate businesses. It's like car racing versus riding a motorcycle. So if I were, for me, and I'm speaking for me personally now, like if I were to do that, I would probably just hire a writer to go through. Because I'm telling you, I've got so many articles that I've already written that I just need to go through and edit. So I would probably just hire him, and I've already know the guy that I would hire, and have him go through, make it a proper article, and start publishing it. So people claim blogging is dead. Why would you say that? I won't get into the personal details. It's a blogger that we keep talking about, but I saw his traffic numbers and it literally went from like up here to it got so bad that even my blog was performing better, which is my blog wasn't like it was never like Cernovich level or Victor Pride level numbers, but like I compared my blog numbers or traffic numbers to his or the guy that we're talking about, and it was like night and day. Like I was even doing better than his. So it seems that there's some algorithm change that made blogging not nearly as profitable. Maybe that's fake news. I've heard it from multiple people, but you're way more into the blogging stuff than I am now because I basically got away from it. I mean, was there any key event that caused blogging to be dead, as people have been saying for a couple years now?
Okay, so the history of blogging, right? So the way blogging started was people wanted to share their life and they were basically talking about, random stuff. It used to be like personal blogs and people would have like a blogger site, etc. This was before social media. So
Right.
back in, say, the early 2000s, blogging was really popular. Everyone and their mom had a blog and people would link to each other's blogs, etc. But when Facebook started and Twitter started, they kind of replaced blogs. They basically cannibalized it. So instead of having a blog, people would have a Twitter, a Facebook where they would post a daily update. So earlier they
Right.
would make articles and now they make Facebook posts. So
Mhm.
that is why a lot of people think blogging is dead and personal blogging is dead. Like if you're just writing about your life, what you did, I ate a Snickers bar, no one cares. It's dead. But
Right.
an authority blog where you're actually like providing something of value to people,
Mhm.
that will always be in business because as long as you're helping people, it's there. It's just that the business has evolved over time where now if you're starting a blog, it doesn't really make as much sense to just start a text blog. You also want to narrate your articles, make YouTube videos, make podcasts, etc. to grow faster. But there is still space for text only blogs that add value. So I would not say blogging is dead, although this is a sentiment that you're saying, like, blogging is dead. That's the average person feels this way. But I
Right.
happen to know a lot of bloggers who make like six figures a month or $80,000 a month. And how can
Mhm.
blogging be dead if people like this exist?
Okay, so if somebody's going to do a blog, they need to not just be text based, they need to have a podcast, they need to
They
narrate, they
should
need to.
have. They don't need to have. They should
Okay,
have. But what they need to have is actual experience and expertise. Because
right.
sometimes, you have these kids starting a blog. Okay, so some guy with like $30,000 to his name is going to start a blog on how you should make more money. That
Mhm.
makes no sense.
Right.
Or some guy who can't even go out on a date will start a blog about, how to get women. Like, how does that make any sense? Or some guy with like who's single and like who has like never had a relationship will give you relationship advice. That's not a good sign. So
Mhm.
you want to have real experience because people can tell people aren't dumb. If you have real experience and you're helpful and you learn some SEO, you learn how to get your articles to rank on Google. As long as people are using Google, people are going to come to your blog. Like some of these blogs die is because they were using black hat tactics to like get people in the first place. Like
Yeah.
they must be using like buying backlinks, etc. And Google isn't stupid, right? The entire point of Google is to get people to the best resource possible. And every once in a while, Google will update its algorithm to like remove a lot of scammers, a lot of people who are cheating the system. And
Mhm.
then a lot of these blogs will suddenly die. So black hat tactics don't work. But if you actually build a good blog with good information, with proper SEO, and I don't mean like paid, like, black hat SEO, I mean like proper SEO, like
Mhm.
writing good articles, good titles, good content, good images, your blog won't die.
Okay. So I guess my next question would be, and this is from a personal standpoint, but also I'm sure that everybody that's listening to this will get value out of it. I've got commoncollected.com. That's been my blog, like I said, since 2014. I mean, it used to be Way of the Olympian, now it's Common Collected. Would you recommend that I start a completely new blog around like a specific topic or continue building that blog as I've been building it, which is like, I guess, a collection of different types of content, mindset, random like stories, personal, freelancing, make money, like flipping, all that? Or would it be better to me to start a separate blog that would be built completely around freelancing or completely around my skill set and then turn tweets of mine into 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 word articles, create videos around it, podcast, all of that if I wanted to. So should I have like almost like a niche authority blog, or should I have an authority blog, but it's a mixture of personal, how to, and a bunch of different things?
I would say go with the latter in your case at least. See, as long as
Okay.
the topics you're talking about are somewhat related, you'll be fine on the same side. For example, you're talking about personal development and making money, which
Mm-hmm.
are related. So you
Right.
can have them on the same side without worrying. On the other hand, if you
Mm-hmm.
start writing something like erotica in the future, like a porn book, having
Mm-hmm.
it on your current blog doesn't make any sense. It's not
Right.
related at all. You want the content on one blog to be at least be coherent and related
Mm-hmm.
versus if you want different sides, then try if the topic that you want to talk about is completely unrelated to what you're talking about today, then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, definitely put it on a different side. For example,
Okay.
life math money, I typically don't talk about getting laid. Like that's not a topic I'm super keen to write about personally out of my own religious and other beliefs. So if I ever like start writing about that, I would do it under a different brand.
Within my context, since all that stuff is connected, I would just continue building the blog as I've been building. But for somebody that's maybe just getting started, unless they have a really interesting life or they build around certain key pillars, it might make sense to build an authority blog. Like if they just want to talk about freelancing, or if they just want to talk about like whatever, how to blog, maybe they'll just build a blog around that for the time being. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, which takes me to another question that just popped in my mind. How do you stay relevant on Twitter? Like a lot of people I've seen, I've been blessed by God, I guess. Like people actually vibe with the content that I put out. So like overall, over the last like couple of years, I keep getting like, as I'm on my third Twitter account. The first one was my mistake. The second one was just some random, I tweeted something that the algorithm, I guess, didn't agree with, which is why I'm more family friendly now. So I would never talk about this certain shot. I would never talk about any of that stuff because I'm not losing this one again. But people overall have stayed like relatable to my content, and my content stayed relevant because it's connected directly to my own progression as a man. So like as me, I'm traveling the world. I used to be the travel guy. Then I became, okay, now I see the importance of having a home base. So I'm setting up a home base here in Paraguay. I'm also setting one up in Dubai. I already have one in America, but I'm not going to be traveling there anytime soon. So now I'm becoming more so, or I guess less of the travel guy and more, okay, it's cool to live abroad, leverage the US dollar over weaker currencies, but you need to stop just traveling, going here and going there. You need to actually build up a home base, have a network. Here, I've got this place basically on lock. I'm not like to the highest levels, but I can basically make anything happen that I need to. Why? Well, because I've spent the money, spent the time meeting the people. Whenever I go out, I'm dressed up well. A lot of the other Americans here, the UK guys are even worse, but they just look like slobs and they're super disrespectful. I go around, I'm dressed up well. I shake people's hands. I'm nice. I'm kind. I'm all that type of stuff. So now I'm teaching people how to like actually go out and network and build up a home base. And from a freelancing perspective, I'm now starting to pivot my content away from just the beginner people and talk to the guys that are already on the path. And here's how you amplify it. So what tips? Because like I said, when it comes to Twitter, like I can't even compare. Like I'm a level 10 of 1,000 versus you when it comes to like understanding Twitter. How have you been able to stay so relevant, like from when you got started to where you're at now and wherever you're going to take yourself?
Interesting. I never particularly thought about this. I just made content that I found useful in my life. For example, if I learn something from you, I will probably tweet about it. Like, this is something I learned, etc. So that's just my content. I would say that the best way to stay relevant is to keep learning more about what you're talking about and not be stagnant. Because if you're stagnant, then your content will not change over time. You will not mature as a person. And then someone who has to learn from you has already taken everything there is to be taken, and then you're no longer relevant. So if you're not improving, then you are going to be stagnant. So I would say that like it's about improving or about being very interesting. And I'll give you an example of that. Once when I was traveling, I met this guy, lives in a van. He doesn't have a house. He lives in a van and he just travels here and there. And that was so interesting to me. And I told him, I asked him, how do you make any money? And he told me that he has a YouTube channel where he makes content about his life, him traveling in a van. And this was a long time ago. I don't remember what channel it was. But the reason people are watching him is because he's interesting, right? He's going from place to place, etc. But now if he was just in one place, let's say he decides to build a house and he's like talking about, I'm in one place forever. And I'm going to keep talking about this one place. At some point, people are going to get bored of that. So it's about being interesting or about constantly getting better at what you do. For example, if you're tweeting about cooking, you want to learn extra dishes, right? You want to try new things, share new tips, etc. If you're cooking only one thing, let's say you're making omelette, and every single day you're tweeting about how to make omelette, then it's like people are gonna get bored of that. No one cares about omelette that much, bro. But if every day you have a new recipe or you're sharing some tip that you learned, I don't know, I'm not into cooking, but put the salt first and then cook it, etc., versus putting the salt later, then I bet your content will stay relevant. People will like you more, and then you can even reuse your older work because your audience will keep growing. So they haven't seen your previous stuff. So for them, even the previous stuff is new. So you'll have like a good cycle going.
Okay. So, and you've basically already given you people can go through the art of Twitter. I hate to keep plugging it, but it just works. So you already tell people this type of information. You update it all the time. But like for somebody that's just getting started, how would you recommend that they tweet a lot, that they tweet less? Like my advice is always
Tweet a lot.
Like,
tweet a lot.
Read a lot. Okay. I mean, is there any downside to tweeting a lot? Because
no,
like I talk with my Twitter friends all the time. Yeah, Dylan, you need to tweet more. You only tweet like I've taken your advice. Sometimes I'll tweet 3 times, 5 times, 8 times, whatever. So I try to keep it a little bit less than what I could produce. But then friends of mine are like, Dylan, you're not growing this month because you need to be tweeting as much as you can. Shoot for like 20 tweets a day. And in my personal opinion, if I'm tweeting that much every single day, I must not be actually having good content. Like, yes, I could tweet 20, 30, 40 times a day, but is it going to be, as you would say, relatable, useful, or anything like that? Maybe not. I don't know. But if I'm okay, today I'm going to tweet 5 times and I can look at the tweets. And I'm not saying I'm sitting there overthinking it because that's the last thing that I'm telling the readers to do. But everything that I know is going out today is going to be valuable or useful or novel or something. Like, so what would you recommend for the person that's already kind of growing their Twitter account? So when I say kind of growing it, they already have a couple, maybe 1,000 followers or something like that. They're getting a little bit of affiliate money coming in here and there. Maybe they're affiliating for you or me. Like, what should they do? Should they just ignore everybody's advice as far as like tweet as much as you can? Or would you recommend they follow like just tweeting a certain number of times a day? Like, what would you recommend?
Stay consistent, tweet regularly, do a lot of replies, and make sure they follow what I said, relatable, useful, or novel. And tweet as much as you can while being relatable, useful, or novel. So you don't want to tweet more at the cost of your content being crap. That defeats the purpose. So as long as you can make good content, do that as much as you can, especially until you get to 10,000. Because once you hit 10,000, it's like a flywheel, what you've got the ball rolling. Now it's going to keep rolling on itself. But getting there is like half the effort. So going from 1 follower to 100,000 followers, 1 to 10,000 is 50% of the work, or maybe even 60-70% of the work.
I like how you said consistency, because that's something people ask me all the time. Like, Dylan, what's one tip that you can give me? What's the secret? And I'm like, bro, like, just consistency. And they hate that because they want to be told that, okay, here's what you need to do step by step. And I'm like, literally from 2014 until today, I've worked I'll take that back. As of late, I do work every day, but I have taken more time off because I can. But I'd say from 2014 to 2021, probably every single day that I woke up, I was working and doing something to progress the business side. Like, obviously on a day-to-day basis, regardless, I'm improving myself in some kind of way as a person. But from a business side, I literally woke up every single day and did something. That is the secret. So whether you're trying to grow your Twitter, whether you're trying to, I used to be 285 pounds, still need to lose some weight, but I used to be 285 pounds, way bigger than I am now. Consistency. That's how you grow your Twitter. That's how you get into freelancing, start closing clients. That's how you get in better shape. Literally anything in your life, it comes down to just consistency, because most people, we were kind of talking about this earlier, they just give up. Like, they'll do it for a couple weeks. That's one thing I really liked about 30 Days of Discipline that Victor Pride put out forever ago, was it got me into that consistency mindset, like the discipline or whatever, just waking up every day. What was it? Doing 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 100 sit-ups, like following certain things every single day. If you did anything, if you just improve 1% every day, whether it's, okay, today I'm going to tweet 3 times the way Life Math Money told me, I'm going to hit the gym, I'm going to do even just 20 minutes of a workout. If maybe you're socially awkward, I'm going to go out and talk to people at the mall. It could literally be something as simple as, because this used to be me, I used to stutter. So I would force myself to go out and talk to people. Like, I just order a coffee. Like, stupid stuff like that is better than you just sitting at home and like being in your own mind and thinking, oh, there's something wrong with me, or, oh, this making money thing isn't for me. Like, if you just focus on every day doing one little task that will at least progress you, by default, you're going to be ahead of most of the average people around you. And I'm sure you've seen that in your own life.
But a lot of people, like, they will start something. Okay, let's say they want to make a YouTube channel. They'll make like 20 videos, and then they'll be like, hey, I'm not at like a big following yet. People aren't following me. So let me just stop forever, because, it's not working out clearly. And then they just give up. And 3 years later, they're like, I should start again. And then they start again. And, then they give up again. So a lot of people, basically, this is just my theory on why they're like this, but it comes down to a lack of desire. For example, let me ask you something, Dylan. Do you want to be a rock star?
Not at all.
Okay. Oh, so that was not the answer I was expecting. But let's say that someone does want to be a rock star. Okay. They want to be a rock star, but do they want to learn how to sing? And learning how to sing involves, like, it's a lot of work. I'm learning how to sing now. It's a lot of work. Like, you have to like learn all the scales and everything. So a lot of people will say, I want to be a rock star, but they will never pick up a guitar. They will never join a singing class. They will never actually put in the work. So a lot of people, they are just wishing, but they are not doing anything. And it comes down to a lack of desire. Okay. And when I say desire, I mean serious desire. It's one thing to say that you want something, and one thing to actually show me you want something with your action. For example, like, how many people do you know who are inconsistent with eating? That is, they like forget to eat for 3 days and they come back, then they remind, I have to eat something, let me eat it. Then they forget to eat for a week. How many people do you know like that?
I personally don't know any people like that.
Exactly, right? No
Yeah.
one's inconsistent with eating because
Yeah.
you feel hungry. There is desire for food and you eat it, right? Every couple of
Mhm.
hours, or like if you're like doing the fasting thing, then, every day, twice, once, whatever. But
Right.
you eat because
Mhm.
you need it. Unless that need is there, you will not succeed.
100%.
And a lot of these people who are essentially quitting in a week are
Mhm.
people who are missing that need, the hunger for success. They just like the idea of success. They like, oh, I'll be independent. That'll be really cool. I'll be a rock star. That'll be really cool to be. So they're wishing for some kind of fairy to show up, do it with their wand, and like they're like a millionaire. They have a business, etc. So for them, it's like it would be a cool to have, but they don't really have internal desire for it, which is what
Right.
you see reflected in their action. Because I'm a big believer in the fact that you can't judge people by their words, you can only judge them by their actions. And if you keep telling me that you want to be strong and fit, but you miss 3 workouts every week, you don't want to be strong and fit. You just like the idea of being strong and fit. There is a
Right.
difference. So I think a lot of people who say they want to start an online business but quit in a week, they like the concept of an online business, but they don't really want to do it. The wanting is lacking. Because if they were just inconsistent as people, then they would be also skipping meals. They would also be skipping water. But you want water, right? You feel thirsty, you want to have some water.
Right.
The same way, for example, if I don't go to the gym for like 2 days, I miss a workout, I feel so guilty about it that I will work out extra hard the next time. So you need to have the internal drive. If that is lacking, I can't help you, Dylan can't help you, no one can help you, because you have to do the work. And you can take a horse to the lake, but you can't make it drink. And at the end of the day, your hands, your legs, you can move them, right?
Right.
If you don't want to move them, you don't want to move them. It's up to you. But then don't keep telling me you want to do this, you want to do that. Show it to me.
No, that's a really good point. I won't name drop him because I'm sure he's going to watch this, but I've got a really good friend of mine, and he literally, we've known each other since we were kids, and he saw me back in 2014 whenever I was like, screw this, I need to find a better way, because I'd always kind of been that weirdo that was trying little side hustles, all that type of stuff. So I'd always kind of been doing it, but it's like I put my foot down. So I made a decision. I was like, I'm going to figure this out. And like 2014, then 2016 came. I still had that like obsessive need, that desire. Even whenever I'd be going into my job, I would be trying to learn. I would be trying to do something in my, like, I would literally disappear to the bathroom for like an hour, and I would like start writing, or I would read or listen to a podcast or just something to like obsessively get myself out of that. And it reached the point where I was like, okay, the job is actually holding me back. I need to quit. And I quit the job. And then that started the whole process that fast forward to 2019, that's when everything changed. Like I started making money as a freelancer, writing emails. I started like expanding everything I was doing. Everything started clicking. But it's because for that time, that entire time, I had this unsatisfiable desire to not be my own boss or do anything like that. Like definitely that was a part of it, but just whatever this was, I had to have it. I had to go and drink that coffee. I had to go eat that food. That's what I wanted. Versus my friend who is like he's an amazing person, but he's also one of those people that thinks that some fairy is just going to come through, bless it. But he's seen the day in, day out work that I've done every single day. And I've even offered for him to work for me. If you don't have that drive, it doesn't matter. Even if you're best friends with me or best friends with you and see us day in, day out, and you saw us back in the day, now you see us now. If you yourself do not have that desire, that drive, nothing's going to change. Like one of us could literally give somebody a business, let's say a $20,000 a month business. So nothing crazy. We could literally give them a $20,000 a month business, give them the keys and everything, and even that's going to crash and burn because they don't have that desire to wake up, to make stuff happen. I'm trying not to cuss as much. Make stuff happen, do everything they need, and have all the skill sets and the mindset, the confidence. They don't have that. But you can get it if you have that desire and that drive, which, like we've already discussed, most people don't. They're still stuck in that phase, and I call it being stuck in a trance of they go on Instagram, they go on Twitter, they go on YouTube, they see the lifestyle that they want, and it sounds awesome. The reality, it's a fantasy, but until you accept it as that is your only possible reality, and this happened to me, I'm sure it's happened to you based off what you've told me, until you accept like no other reality but this reality, and you get this like desire, like I've got to have this. That's like what I'm doing now is not me. I need this. Until you have that, it doesn't matter how much praying you do. It doesn't matter like You could be the best person ever. You could be looking in the mirror every single day and saying these affirmations until you move your feet, move your hands, use your brain, and go out there. Like example, and I've used this as an example before. This is tea, but we'll say it's coffee. I could sit here and God, please let this coffee, please give me coffee, please give me coffee, or I can just reach out and grab the cup of coffee. Magically, I've got it. It's the same exact way. Literally anything that you want in your life, which leads me to you're from India, and obviously we don't need to go too deep into it, but like India is an amazing country. However, there are a lot of like impoverished people. Same like it's becoming that in America, honestly, as well. But there's so many like people that are impoverished, uneducated. Same where I'm from, like where I'm from in South Carolina, tons of uneducated people. And you could even use America as an example. They have tons of opportunities, but they don't use their mind. They don't have that desire. So what is it? Because obviously you know a lot about my story, but from you, what is it that got you to where you're like, I'm going to educate myself, I'm going to figure this stuff out? What was that switch? I know you had mentioned Victor Pride, but like, what was that one little switch that just clicked it on for you?
Okay, so I will answer your question, but first I would like to tell you a story, and this is unrelated, somewhat unrelated to your question, but it's related to what we were talking about earlier.
Awesome.
And you were telling me about your story, which kind of like, about people giving up and everything. And this is a story that a school teacher narrated to our class back in 9th or 8th grade, and it always stuck with me. And the story goes like this. So there's a flood going on, and there's a guy who's trapped on like the top of a building, and everything is flooded. So he's gonna die because everything is flooding. So a boat comes by, and the guy in the boat is asking him, "Hey brother, I'll save you. Come in the boat." And this guy who's trapped is like, "No, no, no! Like God will save me."
Yeah.
Okay, then sometime later, a bunch of other people who are there, they're carrying, some other older people, and they're asking him, "Do you want help? We're gonna, we will save you. You're trapped on the top of the building. We're gonna come and save you." And the guy's like, "Don't worry about me. God is gonna save me." And now the water level has risen and risen and risen, and the water is like all the way up to his feet now. And a helicopter shows up, and the helicopter is like, "Okay, grab this rope, and we're gonna save you." And the guy's like, "God will save me," and the helicopter goes away, and then this guy dies.
Right.
And when he dies, he goes to God and he asks God, like, "Why didn't you save me? I'm such a big follower of yours. I'm so ardent. I've always prayed to you. Why didn't you save me?" And God looks at him and he says, "I tried. I sent you a boat. I sent a bunch of people to save you. And I even sent you a helicopter, but you just didn't get on." A lot of this online business stuff is like this. You're watching a podcast on online business. You might read a book on online business. You have the boat, you have the guy, you have the helicopter. Are you going to start? Are you going to get on?
Right.
So I always remember
That's a very
that
good
story
example.
fondly because it highlights the fact that God can only help those who help themselves. To answer your other question, why did I get into business despite being from India? I always had a very business oriented mindset. I was always into, I never personally cared about making money. I always knew I would have a lot of it, even though interestingly, I didn't grow up with a lot of money, right? My family made like $50 a month, USD a month, and they had to pay for multiple people, etc., etc. And they even had to send money to back in the village.
Right.
So I didn't grow up rich, but for maybe it was a stupidity, delusion, whatever. I always knew I would have a lot of money and money would never be an issue for me.
Same.
And I did my chartered accountancy, and I remember that this business is not scalable. Like consulting, legal consulting, this is not going to make me a billionaire. So I thought, okay, I should start doing something online. I was seeing Victor Pride do his thing, and I was interested in doing something online on the internet because Indian currency is very weak. So $1 is like worth $5 here, and I thought, hey, I should get myself some of these US dollars. Like they're worth so much more. So me working in India is not going to make as much money as me working, and making some USD.
Right.
So I started an affiliate marketing business. I started like a bunch of stuff on the net. Some of it tanked, of course. I started a lot of stuff. Some of it didn't do so well. Some of it did incredibly well, like Life Math Money.
Right.
And so things kind of rolled from there. I never got into business for the money. I always knew I would have money, but I got into it because I thought this is a good business to be in. This is a way better business than doing something in India. So let me be online. Plus, I can connect with everyone, etc. So that was my mindset, and it's kind of hard to like go back in time now and exactly tell you what I was thinking back then, but I wasn't thinking too much about the money, right? Like even Life Math Money, I wrote for a year before I made any money because I published my book like 13 months after I wrote my first article. I worked for free essentially for a year. So it wasn't about the money, but I definitely knew the money would come in time.
Right.
I suppose I was just having fun doing deals and trying to grow the thing. I wasn't super focused on trying to make cash right away. But I know it would be a lie if I said I didn't want to make money. I did want to make money. I did want to make money, but it wasn't like my hash one priority. I would
Yeah.
say a lot of it was just innate. Like I got it for free. Like I didn't have to work for it. Like I always had a business mindset ever since I was very little. So I would not take credit for it. It was something God gave me for essentially no effort that I put in. It's like intelligence, like I didn't work hard to be intelligent. This was something God blessed me with. So I would say entrepreneurial ability was also given to me by God,
Right.
and I'm very thankful for it. Sometimes I even actually pray to God, like, okay, thank you so much for giving me everything you've given me. That has been good for my own personal happiness, I would say.
No, I really, really relate to what you just said. That's something I try to explain to other people. Like people get too locked up into becoming something that they're not. I'm not saying that you can't, obviously you can become better, but something I've tried to explain to other people is I literally have felt that God has been guiding me every step of the way. Like certain opportunities that just fell in my lap, or a conversation that I had with one person, or the skills that I have. I literally from the get-go was, I'm not going to say I'm a great writer, but I just had the ability to write. I had the ability to get on camera and talk, just use my voice to be persuasive, to be charming, my intelligence. So so much of this stuff really is innate and it's God-given. And whenever you say you sometimes pray to God thanking him, that's something I do all the time, because I see myself, I guess as I make more money, it's less about me and now it's more about the people that work for me. It's about taking care of my mom. My mom, she's retired. She's not living in Dubai, but she's retired. She doesn't need to worry about a job. So I literally see myself as almost like a steward of God's blessings. So whether it's putting out the information that I put out online, that's me helping people that are maybe they're slightly conscious. They want to be fully aware and understand that they can actually create their reality and improve the people around them, or whether it's taking care of the people that work for me. Like some of them have kids, and by me paying them, they're able to take care of their kids. That type of stuff really is what inspires me. And whenever I wasn't making much money, what was I focused on? I was focused on me. Obviously, I still have the desire to make money. I love making money, but it's not like I'm not waking up every day like, oh, fuck, okay, I need to make a lot of money today. Oh, yeah, I need to do this. It's for me now, it's more so the money that I make allows me to further bless other people. And versus me 2014, whenever I started the blog with the intention obviously of making money, but I think something that held me back was I tried to make money way too quickly instead of building up the skill set, helping other people. And Victor Pride actually told me this way back in the day, that he became rich, as far as actually being able to make money, whenever he stopped thinking about how he could make money and how he could just help another person. And whenever he told me that, you might laugh at this. Whenever he told me that, I was just like, wow, I never thought about it like that. It was like a light bulb moment. I was like, instead of me thinking about how I can make money, all I need to figure out is how I can help other people. And so that's what led me to the Mel Enhancement blog that I created, which I've since taken down, but it used to be a pretty good income for me. That also led me to the creative stuff. And then that led me to, actually, it was Andrew Tate, he told me, he was like, Dylan, you're telling me you can flip products on Craigslist. You don't need any money and you can make money from it. I was like, yeah. And I broke it down. He's like, make that a course. And so I turned that into a course, which is now taken down. It was Ultimate Side Hustle Blueprint. I think you can get it on Udemy for free still. But anyways, I put that to a course. That was when I started making actual course money. I made $1,600 in the first week of selling that course on Twitter. And then from there, I just kept packaging things I was learning. And so you reach a point of, and it's hard for me, it's hard to describe it because it's more just something you have to directly experience. But you get to a point where it's not even about selling. It's not even about making money. It's just you're showing up every day. And I call it divine purpose. Every day you just wake up and you've got this divine purpose, this drive to create and to post your content and help other people and to take care of the people that have been put into your reality. My mom, as an example, she brought me into the world. It's my job to take care of her. It's my job to help my dad, even though he refuses any money. He's like, Dylan, the day that I take money from you is the day that I failed as a father. I was like, it's not like that, but okay. But my mom, she's fine. She's taken care of for the people that work for me. So would you say that a lot of success would be God-given? Because we don't need to get super religious or anything. And this type of stuff interests me. But some people believe that you have to be you just have to be this super positive, sit on the couch and manifest type of person to get the life you want. Versus somebody like me, I believe that yes, you can be a bad person and get the life that you can get the money and all that, but you're going to be essentially selling parts of your soul in exchange for that, and you're not going to have a good life. Versus somebody like us, where we keep our soul, we focus on progressing as individuals, both spiritually, physically, everything, and we simply translate the progression that we're learning and that we're gaining. We translate that into content. We translate that into products. And it allows us to help people at scale. We're taken care of. Our families are taken care of. So, what would you say to the people that are still stuck in that stupid mindset? It's the secret of just sitting on a couch and I'm going to manifest my life and I'm going to speak positive and I'm going to do affirmations, but they haven't woken up to the fact of, yeah, all that stuff is great. But if you just understand that you can work with God and it's God given, and if you just help yourself, God will bless you. I mean, is there anything to add to that?
I can tell you with certainty that a lot of the people who are listening to it already have God's blessing. And let me tell you what I mean by that, okay? So I'll give you my own, what I consider to be the greatest blessings God ever gave to me. One is that, firstly, I was born in a family of rural farmers in India. No one's educated, or they have basic education. Or my father is educated. He's not uneducated, but he's quite educated. But it's education in a local language, which isn't very worthwhile today. So
Right.
I come from a family which isn't rich, but I got to go to school. What is the biggest thing that can hold you back ever is a lack of education. That's the biggest thing that can ever hold you back. If you're uneducated, you're screwed. So I got to have an education. When I was born, my father and mother decided to move away from our village and move to the city. So that's another blessing. I get a better life. I get to meet more I wouldn't say intelligent, but I would say more successful people in my life, because I was now, we moved to a city, even though we didn't live in the good part of the city, but I was still in a city. So that's a big blessing. I was born without any congenial defects, right? I have my hands, my legs, I'm intelligent. And that is not something that is afforded to everyone. I have a friend whose brother is autistic, and that is one of the worst things that you could say happened to you at the start of your life, right? And I have, back when I was in school, there was a guy who was handicapped. He couldn't walk. He used to sit in a wheelchair. Now that's again one of the worst things that can ever happen to you, because then you're screwed from the beginning. You can't really do as much as you would have done if you didn't have these issues. So that's a blessing that people don't really count on. Then the fourth blessing I had was that when I was young, my father kind of borrowed some, I don't know how he afforded it, but he got me a computer. It was a PC. It was an old CRT style monitor, but I learned how to use computers at an early age. So I had internet, I had computer, I knew English because I was learning it in school, although my English has gotten much better over the last few years as I've been writing. So my English is good now. So I had all these blessings, and this is what I kind of attribute a lot of my success to. Also a supportive family, etc. Of course. A lot of people have this, but when they say they can't succeed, they think of things like, I don't have $1 million. I'm not Donald Trump whose dad will lend me money. You don't have to be Donald Trump to succeed. I mean, that's not an excuse. A lot of people have the blessings of God. They have no congenial defects. They're educated. They definitely have a computer and internet, because otherwise, how are you listening to this podcast?
Exactly.
And English. So you have the blessings. I kind of forgot the rest of your question, Dylan. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, that's perfectly fine. I mean, that really answers it. It's for everybody that's watching this, you think this is where I was wanting to lead this conversation. A lot of people that are watching this, they're already making good money, or they're successful, or they're just getting started. It's easy to forget. And even at my level, sometimes I forget about how lucky I am. And I have to remind myself this. But once you understand that there's nothing necessarily that makes you inferior, that you lack, or anything you lack, you can gain from a skill perspective. But everybody that's watching this, or maybe you're listening to it somewhere,
it comes down to your mindset.
Exactly. It comes down to your mindset. You've been given the opportunities. You're able to listen to this podcast, which already shows that you can literally have everything you need to be able to make a living. I'm not saying you can even get rich, but I'll say even a basic living, you can make it from the internet, which takes me.
God has given you the helicopter, right? You have the helicopter, you have your legs, you can catch your rope. Now, if you don't catch your rope, then you can blame anything, but at the end of the day, you have the opportunity.
So that leads me to people, and I've muted hundreds and hundreds of words because I don't want it to poison my mind. But a lot of people think, and so I'm doing this for the people that are listening to this, they hear about inflation, they hear about this government's doing this war is going to happen, this is happening, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of people allow that to kind of lower their, I guess, their drive, their hope for what they could achieve in the world versus somebody like me, and I'm sure like you, we see it as an opportunity. So what are, for people that are kind of just getting started with the way the world's going, whether it's inflation, whether it's this government, this thing's going to happen to this government, whatever, what are some of the opportunities that you think people are missing in the modern world as far as like the times that are coming ahead? And then not only what are the opportunities that they can take, like they're missing, but how can they kind of position themselves? Maybe it's through crypto. Maybe it's through starting a Twitter brand. Maybe it's getting into freelancing. Where are some places they can kind of position themselves to take advantage of the chaotic times ahead?
Okay, regarding the inflation and the demotivation, there are some things you can control and some things you can't control. The government's monetary policy is something you can't control. So you can only figure out how to make more money. Cribbing about inflation doesn't really help with that. Secondly, buy Bitcoin. And thirdly, where you should, what you need to do. First, you don't need more education in the sense you don't need to go to college or anything. If you want to be a lawyer, then you need to, or a doctor, then you need to go to college. But most things can be learned for free on the internet. You don't need a history major. You can read the books yourself.
Right.
And it's just, we are in a different world. We don't really need universities to get good knowledge on a lot of different topics. So what you need are skills, not general education, I would say. And here is what you can learn to essentially 100x your chances of success. You want to learn how to code. And I mean, coding is a bit of a misnomer when I say how to code. I mean, you want to learn programming. You want to learn how to build complicated web applications, and essentially any idea you will have, you can make it better if you know how to code. You can actually automate it and do things in a much, much more scalable way. Learning how to code is like learning how to build things in the real world. But you know how architecture works? You have a brick, you put a brick, then you have a building. Think of a business as a building, okay? You will be able to build a lot of complicated things and a lot of interesting things and a lot of useful things if you know how to code. But if you don't know how to code, a lot of it is just out of hands, right? You lack the basic skills. Like it's like missing a limb. Not knowing how to code, it's like missing a leg. You can't run. Still alive, but it's not good. It's not the same. So learn how to code. Secondly, learn copywriting. And in my experience, actually reading books about copywriting really helps because it's a very technical thing where you if you're missing a piece of information, you're missing a piece of information. I'll give you an example. When I started, I remember writing copy for a product and I didn't put any CTA at the end, right? So Jose Rosado on Twitter, he reaches out to me and he says, bro, you need to put a CTA. You need to tell people, okay, click I want this to get the product. Like click buy now to get That's because people are not, that conscious on the computer, right? They read the entire sales page and then they have no idea what to do. So they need to be told, click here to get the product. And just making that change increased my sales by 30%. And that is something that I would never have known had Jose not told me. And ever since then, I've read a lot of copywriting books. I have a friend and a business partner who's like a pure copywriter. And I have a sales page that was making me like very little money. It was like doing something like $500 a month. And I changed the copy on it and now it's doing $4,000 a month. The product is the same. The copy is different. So knowing good copywriting is very, 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 very useful. It's a very good skill to have. And you can even sell the skill separately, right? Like as a freelancer, I'll write copy for you, pay me X amount of money. And I've hired copywriters before. So copywriting is another skill that you should have. Then audience building is an important skill to have, like how to build an audience, how to connect with people at scale, how to reach out to people, etc. That is a useful skill to have. So I would say someone who wants to position themselves to be successful in this century or in this era of the internet, learn skills that are useful. And they need to be useful skills, like some of these examples I gave you, right? Coding, copywriting. I bet there are hundreds more like this that are useful. And what happens is that people learn useless skills, okay? Like no one cares that you know the meaning of LGBTQ, etc., or you did a course on ethics. No one cares about that. Like I don't, like for me, your course on ethics, the degree that you printed is like toilet paper. I don't even use toilet paper. Like we use water in India, but you get the point. Like I would spit on it and like use it as tissue paper. It's the same thing. Like this is worthless to me. I don't care about your degree in copywriting. Can you actually do it or not? Can you show me your skills? Like I don't care, okay? If you know the most about transgender people, how does that help me as a businessman? Why should I hire you? how does that help me make more money? How does that help me grow my business? If you can bring me value or skills that help me with that, I'm glad to pay you. For example, I recently spent over 5 grand on my website, and that was designed by a guy who's an expert at designing websites. That's a useful skill, right? Designing websites, knowing web
Right.
design is so useful that I paid him 5 grand to make one site for me.
Mm-hmm.
Last month, we redesigned lifemathmoney.com. And the guy who redesigned it, he's on Twitter. His name is Scenes Designs. Let me actually give you his exact address. So if other people want to hire him, they can. See, I'm doing people a favor.
Okay. Yeah.
SEANZDESINGZ. So Scenes Designs. It's a guy with like a blue display picture at this moment. So he
Mm-hmm.
did the website for me, and that's a useful skill, right? He's helping me improve my business. So you need to learn skills that will be useful for other businessmen and even yourself as a businessman. So don't
Right.
learn bullshit skills. Focus on
Mm-hmm.
useful skills. Web design is one of them. Editing videos is one of them. But something
Mm-hmm.
like you know the most about lesbian people or women's studies, who cares about that? Like, how is that going to help? How is that going to help anyone make more money? Or how is
Right.
that going to help make someone's business process better? You need to bring some skills. For example, if I was running some e-com business, let's say I was shipping soap from China to America, and you had some skill that would make it more efficient, make it cheaper, I would love to pay you. So
Mm-hmm.
find business skills that are useful, and you will always have food on the table and lots of money.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with everything you said. I myself have fallen behind as far as the Bitcoin thing, which we were talking about that before the show. So I'm going to get into some Bitcoin. But the thing that I like transitioned me from making some money to like six-figure type of money was I stopped focusing on all these things that didn't really matter. I instead put that same energy into building skills that I could offer other businesses. So that's like what I teach. That's what my business partner Shane Hunter and I teach other people, is how to get an actual skill that will make other people money and save them time. So like we teach people how to get the skill of email copywriting. So not just like copywriting, like specifically email copywriting, find the right clients via Twitter, via Instagram, LinkedIn, and save them the time. So meaning they don't have to sit down and type up an email. Then you help make them money. Like, so if you're making somebody an extra 30 grand a month, it makes sense for them to pay you 2 grand, 5 grand, or whatever as a freelancer. So for a lot of you that are watching this, like I highly, highly recommend that you go ahead and go through the art of Twitter. You start building up an audience on social media, aka Twitter. So just start building up your audience on Twitter, and you can start doing some affiliate marketing. So what are you doing there? You're learning the skill of copywriting. You're able to sell your product or the affiliate product through your social media. You're learning directly, you're learning how to do copywriting. And then on the back end, I also recommend, whether it's on that same account, which I would personally do, or another account, you could also get into freelancing and you can start leveraging social media to find clients. Because there are so many people on social media, as an example, they could use your email copywriting services. There's so many people out there that could use any of the skills that you have from a business standpoint if you understand clearly that you're trying to save them time and you're trying to help them make money. And then you can turn that cash flow into other investments, whether it's, as he was telling me earlier, Dylan, you need to get Bitcoin. You can turn that into Bitcoin. Or maybe there's other crypto coins that he recommends, but like you can put that money into things like that, or you can put that money into maybe starting an e-com brand or some other type of passive income. And that's how you separate yourself fully from having to trade your time for money, or even just having to worry about a job. But you have to do it step by step. Stop trying to go from, okay, I have 0 skills right now. I don't even know how to make a website. I don't know how to write an article. I don't know how to compress an image, and then expect yourself to be making like 60 grand a month. That doesn't make sense. But the faster that you focus on getting those baseline skills and improving yourself day after day after day after day, at some point you'll get to that. And if you apply yourself hard enough and you've been blessed by God, you'll go even higher than that. But it starts with, what are you doing today? What, like, as you're watching this podcast, what are you thinking about? Are you actually listening to everything that he's saying? Great, that you're already ahead of the most people that are watching this. Next, are you going to apply everything that he says? Like, hopefully you've been writing stuff down. Worst case, just rewatch this. I recommend you rewatch it multiple times and take notes and apply it. And that is how you fully separate yourself from the average person, because the average person is going to listen to this. They're, oh, wow, he said this. Oh man, that made so much sense. And then 2 seconds later, they forgot about it. And as soon as this is over, they're going to go back and do their thing and completely forget about all this. And then maybe a couple months from now, yeah, I really want to quit my job and make some more money. Oh, I really want to do that. and they'll go back into the content, and the same thing's going to happen. So separate yourself from those types of people by listening to every word that he is saying, every word that I'm saying, and writing this stuff down, and then immediately implementing it. So I'm going to put a video up above on how I went from 0 to 5,000 followers, and it's going to link to a video that basically is how I went from that to 25,000 followers. And I recommend that you apply yourself on social media today, not tomorrow, a week from now, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, because the quicker that you can get those boots moving, going step by step by step, getting the actual skill sets that you need, quicker you're going to get the life that you actually want. So stop fantasizing, stop dreaming about it, stop like just sitting back, trying to manifest it. Sit down with a piece of paper like I did back in the day. I'm sure like he's done as well, and write out how I can make money. How you can make money right now is watching the video on how to grow your Twitter following. Start affiliating for his product. You can affiliate for my product if you want. Doesn't matter. Start building an audience. Start getting some money from that. The skill set, I'm going to recommend email copywriting because that's my bread and butter. It's what allowed me to go from struggling to close $1,000 clients to charging all the way up to $10,000 a month for my email copywriting services. And then you can basically, over time, not only do you have the audience, not only do you have the skill, now you've got the cash flow. Once you have the cash flow, all of a sudden you don't have to worry about a job. All of a sudden you can start taking care of your family. All of a sudden you can start putting that money into things that are going to generate wealth. But it starts with, what are you doing today? Stop trying to go up here today and be like, okay, here's where I want to go, but I need to learn these skills. And the skills start with the very basic stuff, consistently done over time. And with that said, brother, is there any last thing that you would like to add for anybody that's listening to this, whether it's where they can find you? Obviously, that's going to be down in the description, or maybe any key lesson that you want to drop before we cut this off?
The key lesson I would, a lot of people who say they want to start a business, they'll usually say, I don't know what to do. I don't have an idea. And they seem to have this mindset where ideas are hard to find, which they are, but they seem to think that opportunity is very rare. A lot of success comes from recognizing that opportunity is everywhere. You just have to try stuff. And I'll give you some examples. I'll give you one example, okay? And this comes from a guy called Peter Thiel, and he asks people, have all the world's biggest companies, all the billion-dollar companies been built yet? In the sense, in the future, will there ever be a new billion-dollar company? And the answer is yes. So that means there are some great ideas out there that someone in the future is going to exploit and, start a billion-dollar company. That someone could also be you. So there are opportunities and ideas out there. Or if you think that ideas and things are not possible, then you're basically saying that no one in the future is ever going to be rich again. Because if all the ideas are gone, then how will they do it? So if you believe that in the future there will be more people who will be rich, then there are the ideas are there, and it's not that complex. Like, let me give you I have a friend who makes a lot of money writing erotica books for Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. So he uses a software called GPT-2, and GPT-2 does something where it produces 600 words of text or something like that. You have to give it a stub, you have to give it 2 lines, and it'll produce 600 words. So it's very good for writing erotica. And he makes a lot of money doing that. And that's a weird thing, right? And it never occurred to me. I would never have thought, hey, I can write erotica on Amazon and make some money. It's possible, So there are so many ideas and things you can do out there. And a lot of it comes down to having a mindset of fun and trying new things, right? For example, and this is a bit of a plug, but last year we built a course on crypto, since we mentioned it. So it's teacherselfcrypto.com. And the idea was, okay, so if I make the course, I will learn everything about crypto in the process. And now we're monetizing it, so you can get a paid certificate. The course is completely free, but you can put it on your resume now by paying us $20, and then you get a certificate that you did the course, and you can put it on your resume, help you find a job, whatever. So it's on teacherselfcrypto.com. But that is something that didn't come to me. It didn't a fairy didn't come and tell me that. I just thought, okay, someone asked me a question. They asked me, Harsh, a course. The guy was Atlas who asked me this. His name is Dante's Leo on Twitter.
Yeah.
So he was messaging me, asking me, how do I learn more about crypto? Do you know any good resources? And I was like, I don't. And then I looked on the net and I couldn't find any good resources. You could find a video here and there, but nothing like a structured course. And I thought, hey, I want to learn more about crypto. I'm gonna make this. So I made it. I had a co-author. His name is Sergio. He runs yourcodingteacher.com. And over a year, we built a course, and it's a good business now. People keep buying the certificates. It helps them get jobs, and they learn about crypto. It's free for anyone who just wants to learn. Anyone could have done this. Everyone's been thinking about, okay, I want to learn about Bitcoin. Most people want to learn about Bitcoin, but they don't know what it is. But how many people thought, okay, this is a good idea, right? Everyone wants to learn about Bitcoin. and there are no resources out there. So let me make that resource.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of it is like that. Like you have a problem that other people are also going to have the same issue, then you can solve it for everyone and then turn it into a business. So I
Man,
would say there is a
yeah.
lot of opportunity in the world and they multiply as you use them.
Okay, I 100% agree with that. Before we go on a tangent, I mean, that's basically how I got into the whole freelancing thing. Was I was already doing freelancing work for clients, and I kept getting asked, like, Dylan, like, what did you do? Like, in 2019, you were picking up trash, cleaning bathrooms, doing Craigslist, you were doing all of that. But now, like, 6 months later, you're traveling the world. This all happened in 2019. Like, you're living in Romania, you're in Dubai, you're in the country of Georgia, you're in Hungary, you're in Turkey, you're here, there. What are you doing? And I was like, freelancing. And so I started answering like, okay, well, here's how to pick a skill if you don't know what you're naturally good at. Okay, here's how to find a niche. Here's how to close a client. Here's how to do outreach. Here's how to do this. Here's how to do that. And eventually I was just like, why don't I just put a course together? Because I literally got annoyed with how many people are asking me the same stuff. So I'll just put together a course. And so that's based off what I just said, based off what you just said, is how easy it is to find that opportunity. Everybody that is watching this right now, you have the capability to go out there and make the type of income that you can't even fathom right now. The type of income that you could take care of your family, that you could take care of yourself. You won't ever have to worry about working for another person again. It all starts coming up with that idea by seeing an opportunity, which they're all around you, right in front of your face, as Victor Pride would say, hidden in plain sight. And then you figure out, okay, what skills do I need? Maybe it's putting together a WordPress blog. Maybe it's putting together one of the like Webflow blogs. Maybe it's how to write. Maybe it's how to do graphics. It doesn't matter. What does matter is that you break out of that trance of, yeah, this isn't for me, because I almost fell for that way back in the day. But you have to ignore all those realities and be like, okay, here's the goal that I want. I refuse any reality other than that. I'm going to find something that I can do today, tomorrow, every single day that's going to build that skill set. And then the switch will literally just flip. You'll find the right opportunity. Like for me, I tried a million different things. I was doing affiliate marketing. I was writing blog posts for Gorilla Mind, the supplement company. I was writing blog posts for adverts, all these different things for other supplement companies as well. And I hated it, but it was making me money, so I kept doing it. And then I tried writing sales pages for local companies. Did well with it, but I hated it. Then I got into web design, but I hated it. Eventually, I found email copywriting. And oh my God, I enjoy doing it. I'm good at doing it. And that's what I've basically been doing since 2019, the end of 2019. Thank you very much. And that is what transitioned me from not really making any money to making some money to, oh my God, this is like, I could take care of my family now. It starts with you today making that decision and re-listen to this entire podcast. Check out The Art of Twitter. Follow him on social media. Like I'll post his social media down in the description below, and just start applying the stuff because you're here. You're already ahead of most people because you've got the ideas, you've got the content, but take it to that next level by actually applying it. And with that said, guys, go ahead and click the subscribe button down below. And brother, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to sit down and talk with me.
Likewise, brother. I'm happy to be here. And thank you so much for having me.
Always.
I forgot to mention, anyone can find me on lifemathmoney.com, and I'm everywhere on LifeMathMoney. So Twitter, LifeMathMoney, Instagram, LifeMathMoney, etc.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make sure to include that in the outro, then drop it down below. But everybody go follow him. I've been following him for a while. You're going to get a lot of value out of him. Talk to you soon. Make sure that you took plenty of notes from this podcast. I'm also going to be clipping this, so you'll have individual clips that you can go through, find your favorite part, and re-listen and take notes, and then more importantly, apply what we talked about today. If you are interested in hearing more podcasts like this and learning how to make money as a freelancer or make money on social media, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. That way you start getting notified whenever I publish more content, because it's people like you that help spread this message. I cannot do what I do without you. So welcome to this channel, especially if you're brand new. And if you are interested in starting a social media business, specifically on Twitter, click the link down below and get inside of the art of Twitter. It's Life Math Money's guide that we talked about quite a few times in today's podcast. So go ahead and click that link down below. That is what helps me go from 0 to 5K, and I continue to apply the methods that I learned inside of that guide, and now I'm all the way up to 25,000 followers. And speaking of 25,000 followers, if you are interested in building your own brand that will allow you to quit your job and start monetizing yourself, watch this video right here, how to go from 0 to 25,000 followers on Twitter. That said, I'll see you in the next video.